Greetings, salutations, happy Monday, June 29th, 2026. Welcome to Backstage, where we look at what's going on behind the scenes of the bigger stage, but also address some of the daily ongoing challenges and opportunities for building a more powerful platform, a powerful message to speak from that platform, reaching the people you want to reach, having the impact you want and need to have for your life, for your business, for whatever is important to you. But I want to start off by talking about the purpose of this kind of daily check-in. It has changed. And what happened was I changed the name before I changed the style of it. Now I need to change the style of it to match the name. And I got some great feedback from a friend of mine, a friend and colleague, who kind of pointed out that I hadn't really changed the style of the show or the daily verbal musings. And so it's time to do that. So I have, when I started doing this I'm going to get to the point here very, very quickly. But when I started doing this, it was really a daily kind of check-in. It was my form of a personal journal. And I was still even forming the bigger stage. Then when the bigger stage sort of became a thing, I thought, okay, well, let's align it. Let's call it Backstage, and let's start moving it toward the direction of serving that community that I'm going to build, that I am building. Well, the thing is that I kept doing kind of the same daily content, which was, we talk about what day it is, what the weather's like, a little personal stuff, some observations, and sort of general sort of growth mindset topics and this and that. It's now time to really focus on serving the increasing number of people that I'm serving who are founders, entrepreneurs, leaders, visionaries, who are recognizing the power of their personal stories is important for them advancing their business. So that's what we're going to do. And in a minute, I'm going to get to a little point that I've learned over the years about how to powerfully tell short stories. But I just want to let the, shall we say, legacy audience, many of you are friends, family, personal acquaintances originally, that, it's going to be a little bit different style moving forward. There'll still be some thoughts that I'm having about, general growth and mindset and this sort of thing. But I am going to be focusing more on the core operating purpose of the bigger stage, but making it a more short, informal, and really truly a daily reminder, daily dose of thought to help you cultivate your messaging, your narrative, your stories, to help you wherever you may be, whether you're going into whatever stage you're going to be stepping onto today. That's really what it is. All right. So with that, I will say we are in the throes of summer. It's going to be a heat wave later in this week. And I'm so happy that we will be on the West Coast later in the week when it's over 100 degrees here in the New York City area. So that I will say. Beyond that, I want to talk about something I've been thinking about lately when it comes to story. And, the AI tools all say, don't focus in terms of marketing, don't focus on storytelling. And it's partly because it's been a bit bastardized because everyone's talking about story. So I talk about narrative, but basically what it is when I talk about story, I'm talking about helping people connect with your message more quickly through going into a story format. So it's the difference between if you get asked, let's say you're on a panel. I'll tell you a story. So I was on a panel for a conference a few years ago, and I'm on a panel, and the facilitator was kind of okay. I mean, she was doing a pretty good job, but it was kind of going by numbers. Have you seen this on a panel where someone's kind of going by the numbers? They're trying to get everyone equal time to share, and so they're kind of going one by one and kind of reading off their script. Everything's kind of scripted. So it's a little bit, robotic in a sense, because that's not how real conversation goes. So I was literally getting bored. Have you ever been bored in a conference, either in the audience or on the stage? I was bored. There wasn't really anything interesting. And so when they got to me, I decided to tell a story. And so I told a story about a person in my life and how they irritated me. And this is a person I both love and respect and, friend, colleague, whatever. And I talked about my point of irritation and the realization I had about that irritation and why actually the thing that irritated me was one of their best qualities. And when I realized that and embraced that, it turned around my ability to work with them because I realized, oh my goodness, this thing, I've got to let them do this thing, this creative kind of thing that they do where they go all around for seemingly endless periods of time. But that's not the reality. And very creative person. Anyway, I'm not going to tell that story, but the point is I leaned forward in my chair. I used my hands to gesture. My energy changed. I started looking at the audience because there's something about going into story that not only wakes up the listener, but it's a dance. It wakes us up. We're more interested in story, and so are they. It's the difference between, what do you think the most important trends are? It's like, well, I think trend number 1 is this, and trend number 2, and it's also trendy, and, half of your audience, even yourself, you might be glazing over. But if you take that question and you think, what is a story that illustrates a trend that I'm seeing right now? So that's a great question. You know what that reminds me of? I was at a coffee shop yesterday, down on the south part of town. You give a little bit of description so people can go, oh, I've been there too. Or, oh, there's a coffee shop there? I didn't know that, right? Yeah, it's this great coffee shop. They have beautiful plants in the front. Now they're imagining where they are. They're visualizing. And I met this man who's about 35 years old. He works in real estate. He was wearing a beautiful blue suit with a green tie. And we sat next to each other and I asked him a question and blah, 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 right? And you tell the story very briefly about it. That right there, it triggers something very deeply ingrained in us that we want to listen. We're around that fire. We're listening to our ancestors tell a story. It's just a completely different, arresting quality of a story. And so I will just say that when I'm talking about the power of story, it is a muscle and it requires practice and practice and practice to not only have the stories accessible to you, but to be able to go into that mode in a way that is compelling, confident, clear, and really dialed into the energy in the moment. It's a great way to shift. If someone asks you, we say, there's no bad questions. Well, there are some questions that are pretty dumb in context, or maybe not dumb, just not deep. And a story will take you deep, because even if someone doesn't relate to the point of the story, like the final conclusion, they're still kind of enjoying the journey. And I guarantee you they'll remember you for it. I remember that day at the conference when I got bored on the stage in a panel. Afterward, for the rest of the day and actually beyond, when I had follow-up meetings, people mentioned me telling that story. They remembered me because of that story. It traveled beyond me. And I think, that's ultimately what we're going for. So I just want to set the table here as much as I can whenever I can check in. I'm going to be sharing anecdotes, stories, tips, books I'm reading, things I'm hearing out there, trends, whatever it is that comes up that's related to this. This is going to be a space, a little mini workshop to maybe stimulate, inspire, prompt, and serve people who are building something important and they know that their ability to communicate about it is really the game changer. And that goes without saying, right? So is it about communication? Yes. Is it about storytelling? Yes. Is it about leadership? Yes. It's about all of those things. None of us are perfect at it. It's an art and a science. And so finding our own way to be expressive in a way that's unique to us is also important. So no condescending lectures from me, just my own experience and expertise and what I'm seeing out there with myself, my clients, and stories that I can harvest from my own past. I hope that's helpful. And thanks for hanging in there with me as I steer this ship and get tighter and clearer as we go along. Thank you so much for listening. Please be good to yourself and others. Tell someone a great story today. Listen for a great story today. Maybe notate what is it about what I just heard that made me pay attention the most. Was it the energy? Was it the sound? Was it the expressions? Was it the hook in the beginning? What was it? And see where that takes you. Okay, we will check back again with you tomorrow. Thanks as always for listening to Backstage. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye-bye for now.